Hey everyone, welcome back to Black on the Platform Live, where we spotlight Black entrepreneurs, authors, and leaders who are moving the culture forward and making wellness, wealth, and wisdom more accessible to our communities. I'm your host, Jen S., founder of Black on the Platform, your go to directory and community for Black owned businesses. If it's your first time joining us, drop your name and where you're tapping in from. And to our returning viewers, we see you, we appreciate you, and we're so glad you're part of this movement. Welcome back. Let's see who's here today. All right. So today we're spotlighting Howard Douglas III, founder of Douglas Capital Advisors, a forward thinking financial advisory firm changing the game with integrity, education, and community centered wealth strategies. Howard's journey began in traditional finance, but after witnessing industry practices that didn't align with genuine client care, he decided to build something different. From Inglewood to Austin, Douglas Capital Advisors is built on trust, values, and results. Let's welcome Howard to the platform. Go ahead and drop a rocket in the chat if you're ready to talk money, mission, and legacy. And we want to welcome you, Howard. We're honored to have you here. Please go ahead and say hello to our viewing audience.
Hello, everyone. Honored to be here. Jen, thank you for having me. Special shout out to the Power Networking Group. Let's have a powerful conversation. Excited to speak with you this evening.
Awesome. Thank you, Howard. And I see hellos in the chat. Hey, Natasha, welcome. And let's get started with your story. What inspired you to start Douglas Capital Advisors?
Yes, very good question. It was something I just couldn't get out of my head. Growing up with my father, some of you may know him. Those in the power networking group may know him. Howard Douglas Jr. He introduced the importance of financial literacy at a very, very young age. Even when I had no clue what I was looking at, I was more, I was locked in on, sports and just being a young person, just figuring out my way. But based on that exposure and some other experiences that he introduced me to, when I went to college, I decided to major in finance because I believed in entrepreneurship and the importance of finance. And for me, at least working in a professional capacity, we dedicate so many hours and so much of our effort to, certain things. And for me, I wanted to commit myself in providing service. And, what better way marrying both entrepreneurship, finance, and just, teaching and providing value for the public. That's where I naturally found myself
And that's
pursuing.
very commendable. That's very common. We forge our own way, learn what suits us best. And being into sports, I know that's another whole nother area of your expertise we'll have to dive into. But right now, I'm curious to know what some of the industry issues that you noticed early on that made you say, we got to do better than this.
All right. How much time do we have, Jen?
We got all day.
No,
Let's go.
no, that was a joke.
Oh.
Um, Industry issues. Wow. That is a topic of discussion. As a not only a financial advisor, a younger one, in comparison to the average, being a black financial advisor in the United States brings a whole additional layer of complexity to it. Um, in regards to some of the issues that I see, I think that today there's more information out than ever. It gets a little confusing. There's more of an emphasis on planning. Some people are or aren't implementing it on an individual basis for the public as a whole. I think that planning needs to continue to be at the forefront. But in terms of our community in our people group, is just exposure, education, us forwarding, and championing that message, amongst the people that we're close to, our closest family and friends, hopefully light a fire under their butt to say, hey, let's get it together. Because believe it or not, some people, some people aren't making money, but then, there's some people making some money, right? And for those that are making some money, they need to take it to another level. And at least for us, it's new money in a lot of cases. So there's a strong education need, and we have to continue exposing each other, to it, to push the whole community forward.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up the aspect of planning because that's something um for those viewers who don't know, our power networking team meeting is tomorrow, and that's one of the things I'm going to bring up is about planning, making
Mhm.
sure that we are planning for quarter one now, not waiting for quarter one to happen and then
Mhm.
say, okay, now what are we going to do? That needed to be rolled out now so that we have a game plan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm glad you brought that up. So
Absolutely. And adding to that point, just going to the Power Networking conference with the George
Dr.
Fraser had just put
Fraser, yeah.
on. He said that you know uh, black people are planning for Saturday. This is he's always cracking. He has his
Yeah,
sayings, he's
yeah.
cracking his jokes and stuff. He says black people are planning for Saturday night, while other groups are planning for the next 100 years.
Right.
So let's take that long term mindset pertaining to our approach with our families,
Yes.
our approach with our wealth, thinking with the end in mind, and let's put together a plan to get there. Yep.
And Dr. Boyce Watkins talks too about the 100-year plan. And I
He
attended
sure
those
does.
sessions and sort of like
Yes.
laid out my 100-year plan for my family. That's where I started the
Hmm.
Johnson family meetings, which yeah. So it's interesting because you don't know this, but your dad, Howard Jr., and I discussed, kind of debriefed because I wanted to hear all about the conference. And he was saying how it was really powerful and the things that they shared were, gems. And so I think it's great when we go to these conferences, these conventions, and we bring back to our community the knowledge and kind of impart those gems to the group. So anything you come across that you want to share, please, this is the place for it.
Oh yeah, I got plenty. One of at least one of the standout points outside of the family legacy planning, and I'm so happy that, like, man, Boyce is such a giver. Every day, he's on the microphone giving. It's just oozing out of him. It just
Yes.
radiates. So I love hearing Boyce every morning, whether I'm checking in or I'm hearing it, from Pops.
Yeah.
But one profound statement that was made by Dr. Miles Monroe's successor was, there is no success. No, there is no, was it? There is no success without a successor, and that ties in with the longevity thinking. Here we're building out platforms, we're building out companies, having high impact and high reach, but we have to continue that mission when we're done, when we're retired, if we're in a grade, whatever it is. Who is gonna continue championing the causes that we believe in, and that our customers, our stakeholders, everybody that's involved believe in, because this is mission work that needs to continue for generations.
And that's one of my whys for Black on the Platform.
Yep.
I want my children to have a space and a place that doesn't require them to check into a corporate job, but that they can build and know that it's going to be passed on to their children and their
Yes.
children's children. So I'm in agreement. We got some shout outs for you in the chat. I see Errol and Omari and my grandmother. Oh, look at you, Baba. You're so cute. I love it. And my sister, I see Gina. Awesome. Thank you all for being here today. So tell us, Howard, what are some money lessons you wished you learned earlier? And
Money
I'm going to
lessons.
drop that
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
chat as well for anyone who wants to share. What are some money lessons you wish you had learned earlier?
I mean, very, very simple. I think that, well, we all have our different upbringings, but at least what I find to be, common sense or commonplace knowledge may or may not have been too common. So I don't want to
Yeah.
make, judgments or assumptions on everyone, but something I think is just the most basic principle is a little bit goes a long way.
Mm.
If you're making, if you're barely making ends meet, maybe there's a way we could squeeze out a couple dollars, right? And that applies to everybody. But beyond that, once you do take it to the next level and you are thinking about planning, it's more than it's about allocating your resources to create the future, the vision that you want, and bring it to life, whatever that looks like. And that ties into so many different things, right? Maybe that's starting a business, maybe that's buying your first house, maybe that's buying your 10th house, maybe that's, moving somewhere else, maybe that's retiring early. It ties into so many things. Maybe that's lowering taxation. It's just the significance of planning. And I'll give at least a like a little quick tip, which should be practical or useful for everybody. Is look at last year's tax return and how much you ended up paying, and according to that, determine, hey, all right, based on the current standard deduction or whatever, all right, this is what it might look like if I do XYZ. This is how much should I withhold, something like that, right? And we help our clients do that. But the importance of making that determination is you can get the most active use of your income on a monthly basis if you just do the planning a little bit further ahead of time, instead of letting life happen to you, instead of just trying to maximize your tax return. The importance of tax planning is, let's have a strategy to maximize what the cash flow that you do have, and then you make that determination, I'm gonna put it in this bucket, and so on and so forth, and you can make some projections, and we can kind of get in all that stuff. But I just wanted to, at least dive into that part. Get started, number one. After you get started, number two, let's plan, and let's get the most impact with all of our dollars.
I love it. So, I don't know if you saw my very first guest was Mia, and she's in the chat. And she said, one money lesson I wished I learned was to always save liquid cash. And another
Yes.
thing Mia does is she has a date with her money. So it's
Here we go.
scheduled, right? And we make it intentional about that. But
Hmm.
in the chat, we also have one of your wives, your
Okay.
wife. I know she's over here. Go hubby, love this so much. And you're welcome, Jasmine. And Jasmine being a guest on the show already, we know how well the the kids do in motivating us to grind and to really
Hmm.
plan ahead. So I see your why on the wall behind you as well.
Oh yeah.
And I
Hmm.
love it. I love it. And we have new viewers joining. Welcome, welcome. I see you, Sheila. And if you do have money lessons that you want to share, drop them in the chat. If anyone wants to drop Howard's tip about looking at last year's taxes, drop it in the chat so I can share it on the screen. So, Howard, you talk a lot about building trust, not just wealth. And you and I have had
Yes.
conversations around this too, because it's really important for me at Black on the Platform that we have a community where we trust each other and we're working with each other in a growth movement, right? And so let's dig into what you're doing with that. You primarily serve at Douglas Capital Advisors, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
so you want to talk a little bit about that?
In terms of
So like
can you clarify?
how do you approach like building a trusting space where people are sharing their finances? That's very personal. I think finances and health are as personal as it gets.
Absolutely. So since I've been doing this for a number of years, pretty easy, comfortable conversation, for me to enter into. But what I try my absolute best to just be humble and to be service oriented and welcoming. Just create a welcoming, warm environment. It's a judgment, free zone. We're gonna talk about it all, and we're gonna try our best to help you. One, uh, you know, Get this monkey off your back that sometimes you're thinking about. You may or may not have conversations, with others about it. Maybe not. But two is to help you visualize what it looks like to do even better to improve your situation. And hopefully over the course of the conversation and meeting prep and follow up and all these other steps, you gain that comfort and confidence that we could support you in partnering with you to create that vision.
I love that. And so you're talking about vision. How do you approach building a custom financial roadmap that feels personal and strategic for your clients?
Yeah. So first step, get to know what are your values, what are your responsibilities, what do you want, what are you looking for in an engagement, right? What experiences have you had, etc. And in terms of I'm sorry, can you repeat that one more time? I just want to
So
make sure I don't miss
so
it.
basically you are getting to know the client so that you can help
Yes.
them for see out their vision,
Hmm.
and you're creating a
Yes.
sort
Yes.
of tailor-made to your client what their needs
Yes.
are.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. So figuring out the circumstance, figuring out the cash flow, assets, liabilities, etc., goals, all of that good stuff, and really just kind of walk through a smooth process. And at least going through our process, we don't just plug you into fancy tools and technology, and all of that is absolutely great. But the number one thing is accountability, trust, and commitment. If we don't have those things, it could be the best plan ever, but it boils down to application. So if
Hmm.
you're not applying the lessons that you learn from the conference or the advice that you receive, you're missing out on value. That's called opportunity cost. So we're going to help you out with the technology part of it. Then we're going to also simplify it and then give you a small Excel sheet, let you know where your dough is going and all that good stuff. And then we're also going to introduce you to additional education. You get great education from Dr. Boyce, you're going to get it a different way and probably on slightly different topics. So then now when you get to implement the total picture, now you're a dynamite beast because, you know, first thing is money habits and mindset. But then after that, when you start applying some tools and you get a partner, it's a different ball game.
Yeah, that so it sounds to me like you really are making sure you're educating clients with the resources and information that you're gleaning from these different networking organizations. But there is a lot of noise in the financial world, and you've seen
Yes.
both sides, the good
Mhm.
and the questionable. What should people really look for when they're choosing a financial advisor?
Uh, Number one, to me, and this is not a judgment on anybody that does not have this credential, but if I am an affluent person or if I have the cash flow to become that person, I want a certified financial planner.
Right.
Um, and the reason is the credential displays a higher level of commitment to the industry, commitment to ongoing education. The education is very well rounded and robust. You're not just touching on just investments. You're touching on in a very detailed way, insurance, deeper dives, estate planning, tax planning. It's just a deep. Like I might have spent several thousand hours. I lost count. It's been a couple years, but I did write down how many hours it was. But I know it was a lot of hours, and it just displays another level of commitment, and then also there's just a higher standard, and they don't just let anybody in. Like if you have a troublesome background, whether it's a criminal history or financial history, you may get rejected
Right.
or they may not let you in. So, in terms of, and that doesn't make it foolproof,
No.
but at the same time, you're displaying a commitment. You are becoming more educated, more than most in the field. And then at least they're not just letting everybody and anybody in. I would say get a CFP first.
Hmm.
Besides that, I'd ask about capacity, right? How many clients do you serve currently? Do you have time for me?
Right.
If I'm
Yeah.
bringing over, my $100,000 or whatever, and they're dealing with how, whatever size account,
Yeah.
are they gonna give me the time and attention that is gonna serve my needs?
I
So
had
those
that
are two of
same
the most
question.
important things.
Yeah, and I actually asked my financial advisor that very question,
Hmm.
because I'm with Fidelity, and I was like, "You deal with." I got a message about clients with $4 million, and I wasn't
Hmm.
one of those clients. So I'm like, if you're dealing with these clients with 4 million, do you really prioritize my me as one of your clients? And
Hmm.
so there are kind of brackets where you're tiered if you're this level client
Hmm.
versus that level client. So what are some like red flags folks should avoid when shopping for financial services?
Immediately, I would say if somebody is talking about products or strategies off the rip, you know, so that's number one is if you come in the door, hey, this is what we're doing. It may not be a fit for you. That doesn't take
Yeah.
away from the product's quality or anything like that. But it's not a one size fits all
Right.
type of deal. I would say that's flag number one. Flag number two is transparency, right? Being unwilling or unwanting or not open to teaching or sharing the information. My approach is I don't want to be a gatekeeper of information.
Mhm.
I figure if I empower you, one, you're gonna feel that it's genuine, but number two, that's only gonna make you a better client, and it's also it's gonna force me to raise my game at the same time. I don't need to
Yes.
gatekeep any information. You could come you Once you're kicking butt and taking names too, and you have some of these tools, you could come holler at me with some of your ideas also, right? So how can we rise together? How can we get better together?
I love that. I have several potential clients who I've been speaking to, who are interested in joining our power networking team. And
Awesome.
I already had people in mind to connect them with such and such. And I was like, I'm the concierge of connection. You don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to, of course, join the team if you're a good fit, but I'm not here to persuade anyone. And if I have a connection for you, I'm not a gatekeeper of us. My whole point of Black on the Platform is
Hmm.
to elevate us and bring us together and build a community that's a growth community. I'm not here to just like gatekeep and, oh, you can't, I'm not going to let you in with this person or that person that I know will be a great fit for you. So I
Hmm.
agree. I feel like, when you pay it forward, it comes back to you, and there's something beautiful about the reciprocity in knowing that I've blessed another family, and that family's going to bless somebody else, and so on and so forth. So I couldn't agree with you more. I'm curious if I'm looking at our comments in the chat. I love Mia said you're getting close to that 4 million, Jen. I shared that on the
There you
screen.
go.
Yeah, right. And welcome, Tashi. Tashi says, how to invest in the stock market is something I wished I had learned when I was younger.
Hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too. My grandmother's in the chat. My grandfather used to get sick over watching the stocks. So I thought stocks equaled ulcer. So I was
Yep,
trying to
yep,
stay
yep, yep,
away, you know?
yep.
But yeah,
Gotta.
Andrea asked, should your CFA also be a fiduciary, not beholden to a bank's products? It's a
Yeah.
good question.
Um, so I want to I have to brush up on at least it's been at least a year or more since I looked at some of the stuff on the CFP website. I'm 90% certain, which I should know. I should be 100%. I should
You're
be a
right.
hundred and I should be two. I should be 1,000% certain that all CFPs are fiduciaries, and I believe that is the case. However, there are like little nuances with licensing that would make somebody a fiduciary versus not a fiduciary. At least, speaking for myself and my company, we are fiduciaries because we do not have a Series 7 license. We have the Series 66 and the CFP. Therefore, we are fiduciary, etc. There's nothing wrong with working somebody that is not considered a fiduciary. However, you have to be wise enough to understand the differences and the nuances of the relationship. If I were to just make a blanket statement, then I would lean on the fiduciary side. But that's not to take away from people that do have a Series 6 or a Series 7 and another license. So, um, and I will say this about banks. However, they're servicing a whole bank, and it's similar. How I view it is similar to going to the grocery store. Like you go to the store, you know what you want on the list. You go to the checkout, you buy the stuff, you out your way. You don't have a relationship with the person at the checkout line, and you went in there asking about specifically what it is that you wanted. And it's a very the banks are dealing with so many different customers. They're
Hmm.
chasing internal leads. My opinion, not to take away from somebody's integrity and with their stuff, but I believe it's best that you look outside of a bank, generally speaking.
Right, right. I always think about banks as one aspect, and then you have
Hmm.
financial institutions like Fidelity that aren't a bank, so to speak, but they do invest for you. So um, I like that clarification. So I know we're moving fast through our time here. I don't want to miss
Yes.
hitting you with the good questions.
Hit,
So
hit,
thank
hit
you
me.
for the
Yep. Hit me.
breakdown. Um, so Douglas Capital isn't just about numbers, it's about legacy. How does
Yes.
your firm help clients align their finances with their long-term goals for long-term growth building?
Yeah. So it kind of ties into a lot of what I've already previously touched
Yeah.
on, and that is, thinking with the end in mind and doing what's considered a best practice. And one thing that I challenge and I proactively bring to my clients is almost be first off, we want to take care of our families, number one, but then after we take care of our families, who are we giving to? What how do we want to give back to our community with purpose that extends even beyond? So that's one thing that we challenge our clients with. Hey, who do you feel that you align with on a nonprofit side that you would leave some resources for? And I also believe that it's healthy for your children or your family members to see as well, because they begin thinking about stewardship. Once they
Right.
come into resources, if you are already having those conversations, and then you tie in purpose with the money, because money is a tool. It's not everything. It is a tool. It's a tool to do good deeds. It's a tool for freedom. It's a tool for growth. It's an accelerator, but it is not. It's not the main thing.
Yeah. And I agree. I think it's important that we look out for one another along the journey and think ahead, how can we bless somebody else or benefit somebody else? And to that point, shameless plug, I've been inviting people to sponsor
Mm,
businesses in joining the Power Networking team. Maybe you don't
mm,
have a business, but you want to do some good in the community. So if those viewing audience members, if
mm.
you know somebody who could benefit from a Power Networking team to be part of Black on the Platform, you are welcome to reach out. We definitely support sponsoring small businesses.
Here it is. I forget the exact figure, but this past weekend when I was in Atlanta, they had said something about however many million unemployed black folks. I want to say it may have been, there was however many million single member small black companies with no employees, just the owner, and how
Hmm.
many unemployed. And if every small business owner just hired one employee, we could wipe out just about everything. So
I
that
love that.
highlights a couple of things. One is we need infrastructure, we need a capital base. That's one. But then number two is that we can get this thing together. It is within reachable distance as long as we create viable businesses. So we can do this together. We just gotta break out. Some people got to get out of the mind. Some people got to get out of mindsets, and then we need to become visible.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yes.
another challenge as well.
Yeah, and that's why we are here to this evening on our YouTube
Hmm.
spotlight, right? To bring visibility, to express that there is a community that we are part of that is allowing for us to support one another, and not just here on the YouTube spotlight, but behind the scenes, working together to establish goals and make plans so that we can see the vision come to life and combat analysts' predictions of what they believe Black wealth will look like in 2053. And if we all just hire, you heard Howard say it, if we just hire one person, just one, we make a humongous difference in uh in our community and impact our Black wealth. So I'm curious to know, on a personal note, how has your journey changed since you relocated from LA to Texas? How, coming from Los Angeles, I'm a little biased, but
Yep, yep. So when I was chasing a basketball carrot around, I've been in different states. I've done Massachusetts, New Jersey, then I went to college in West Virginia. So living in other places, wasn't out the norm. Done a bunch of different schools, etc. But when we were in California, we were a part of the beach cities in Redondo Beach. Then we were
yes,
in the inner city in a neighboring city of Hawthorne and Inglewood. If
yeah,
anybody in LA knows about some neighboring cities within that vicinity, it was an experience. So, um, in terms of our transition, we missed the beach, we missed the weather. You could literally open up the window, you feel the breeze. No AC, no heater. It's
yes,
it's wonderful. Over
it is.
here, it's hot, but in terms of mindset, just being over
Mm,
here, it's kind of open up our minds more so about what it looks to be regarding being a landowner, and just visualizing, you know, uh, owning some acres, and having more real property, stuff like that. That part is open our minds a whole lot. For instance, we're growing some plants and herbs and fruits and veggies in our backyard. Shout out to Naturally Boundless. Check out my wife's company as
yes,
well. Um,
I
Oh,
love that. And
my son is walking in here right now with the cell phone. All right, big guy.
oh, how sweet.
All right.
So
All right.
hey,
Go
how
to
you
mama.
doing?
All right.
Hi.
All
Yeah,
right.
so
This the curveball right here. This is one of
Jasmine's
them.
Jasmine's teas arrived, and I can't wait. I want to do a video showing me open them up, the teas for the subscribers to the Power Networking team, not the subscribers to YouTube, just to clarify, the subscribers to the Power Networking team. So, yes, and definitely we'll be putting the links in the chat. For they're both on the Black on the Platform National Business Directory. So, um I know we're getting close to the end, and I see your son there like, "Okay, daddy, just wrap it up." But I'm
I put it
curious.
on mute. I put it
Oh,
on
okay.
mute. I said,
Okay.
hey man, you being too distracting, because I was hearing the echo.
Right? So I'm curious if, what's next for Douglas Capital Advisors. Is there anything new we should be watching for? Because I know we talked about some upcoming things in the Power Networking team. Anything on the future front for Douglas Capital Advisors?
Yeah, a couple of different things. One is I have a beginner's financial literacy course, 2.5 to 3.5 hours worth of video content, along with worksheets that you could, work through side by side, come to some self discovery, learn a couple best practices. Maybe there's some insights, some facts that you did or didn't know. Maybe I'm just reinforcing things that you already know. That's 100% free. Outside of that, there's a couple of projects. I was going to build out the intermediate and advanced courses. essentially collectively, once you buy the intermediate and advanced, it pays for your financial plan. That's the whole point. I want to lead you to get a financial plan, the thing that I've been
Beautiful.
emphasizing over the course of this. So then now you get your plan, now you getting some tools, now you know some higher level stuff. Cause I'm gonna put you on some game that
So
that some of the heavyweights know. So that's one of the things. And then
nice.
there's some other projects as well. So, sorry, Jen, go ahead.
No, so I'm just curious how the Black on the Platform community can support
Oh
the
yeah,
courses you're talking about.
yeah. Come to come on the website, douglascapitaladvisors.com. Check us out. I have some helpful blogs on there. You could just register for the free one at first. It'll kind of get you in the loop. I'll add you to the mailing list, and then we could take it from there.
Awesome. And I'm also dropping your Black on the Platform listing for the viewing audience to see. Mia says that's a great idea. She loves what you're doing. I want to share too. I know Andrea said to drop Jasmine's link in the chat, but I also want to plug her in. We are per your conversation with your wife, she's going to be
Mm,
coming on our sisterhood for the Fierce and Fearless Sisterhood this Sunday
awesome.
and sharing with the ladies there. So, for any of my sisters who are tapping in right now, make sure that you join this Sunday's meeting. And we're doing it a little bit early because many of us are supporting Errol C. Mangles. He has his option class this Saturday and Sunday as well.
Awesome.
So I moved our sisterhood a
Awesome.
little bit early so that we don't miss Errol, who is always
Mm,
part of our power networking team and a great
mhm.
supporter of what we're doing at Black on the Platform. So we want to pay it back. So as we wrap up, and this is not going to be the last time we have you, it's just the first time we have you on the show. Do you have any final words to our viewing audience who may be ready to take control of their financial future but don't really know where to begin?
Yeah, I would say we don't have to overcomplicate it. Just getting started is the first thing. Just showing up, number one, right? And having that hunger, that appreciation and embracing, hey, I may or may not know this, maybe not that is or isn't the case, but just having that attitude of continuing trying to learn as much as possible and being hungry to do more, to do better. And if you're doing better, what else is out there in which you may or may not have participated in that might be able to make some incremental difference, right? So I just challenge everybody to challenge to challenge yourself. And if you were to reach out to us, we'll be honored to support you on your journey, and hopefully you found some value in tonight's session. Thank you so much, Jen, for having me.
It is an honor and a pleasure to have you. And my biggest takeaways from our conversation this evening is that you don't have to go big to make an impact, that you can start with small steps.
Get
My
started.
husband
Yep.
has an expression, he says, one square at a time. Just take it one square at a time, one step at a time. Don't look at the whole elephant, take it piece by piece. And so I'm definitely walking away with that mentality, like, small steps to get to the end result.
Yes.
Um, so Howard, thank you. I mean, it's been great. Thank you for showing up this evening with dropping wisdom and your intentionality is felt. Your mission reminds me that Black wealth doesn't happen overnight, and it's possible, and it's so
Mhm.
necessary for us. And it starts with clarity, courage, and community. And you're really giving back in so many ways. So if you all want to connect with Howard and explore Douglas Capital Advisors. You can visit his listing on Black on the Platform, which will take you to his website, his email, any way you want to connect with him. So now it's time for my outro. Thank you, Howard. I appreciate you. Let me do my closing. Let's see if I can do this. Okay, I got it. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss a powerful story. I'm Jen S., your concierge of connection, reminding you visibility creates opportunity, and we're here to help you shine. Thank you all for joining us this evening. Take care.